Buying a house is finna cost you even more money. Let's talk about it. This is Kate, back at it with a new video. I was just reading this really good article that when you purchase a house now, instead of the seller paying your real estate agent as well as theirs, now you have to pay your own real estate agent. And I think that that might create a problem. And I'll tell you why. I've owned many properties, and I would go out with a real estate agent. We would look at some properties, and at the end of the day, it was up to the seller to pay both real estate agents, the seller and the buyer, right? Okay. And what they would do is they would split it, and that's the way it went forever. But now they just passed a law, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but the way it's supposed to work now is that when you go out and you want to go see a house, you have to sign a contract with the agent that's going to show you that property, and then y'all have to agree on how much you're going to pay that person, whether it's 2%, 3%, or whatever. You have to agree on those terms before you go out to even see the property. Now, you're probably saying, well, Kay, what's the big deal with that? Well, most people, when they go out to buy a house, really don't have the money. It's a struggle coming up with a down payment of 3% if you go like FHA, or 5%, or if you do conventional, where they may want you to put down 10% or 20%, or it depends, and it also depends on how much is the property. So let's say the average house costs about $250,000 to $300,000. Well, that means that do the math on it. So if it's 3%, it's 3% of that. And so now you got to come up with those funds just to get the ball rolling. Plus, you got to pay the agent that you're working with. You got to set aside money to pay that person their 2 to 3% now. So now the buyer, he pays his person, and you pay your person. So now that's just an added expense on all the other expenses that you have to pay on top of that. You got to pay your closing costs. Now, closing costs depending on how much that property costs. Then I think you got to get a year's worth of property insurance that you got to pay up front. You got to do like a survey so you know your boundaries. It's nice that if the seller, he's already got the survey, that's going to help you out. When I sold a couple of properties, I just gave the survey as a gift to the buyer, and they really appreciated it. Then you got to have inspector come out, if you don't know about property, to come out and check the roof, the windows, the HVAC, the heating in there, the flooring, the outside of the property, everything in and out of the property. This guy's gonna come out and inspect it for you, and then give you a readout of what he saw. And that can cost anywhere from probably $500 to $1,000, depending on where you live and who you hire. Then you got moving expenses. Then you got your miscellaneous expenses, like changing the locks when you move in, because you don't want the same locks that the other person has. So you want to change the locks out, or at least rekey the locks, so people don't have keys to your property. And then, like most people, there's always going to be something you got to do, and it might be painting, or doing flooring if the place wasn't already put together for you. You know, if you buy it as is, you might have to do a little work when you first, take over the property. So, there's a lot of expenses when it come down to purchasing a house. And then now you got to pay your own real estate agent. And who's got money like that laying around, 2 to 3%. And then I think, you gotta have like money in the bank. At least I did. They want you to show proof that you got funds in the bank when you purchasing a house. So it's just gonna make life a lot more complicated for the average Joe just trying to buy a house. It's already excluding a lot of people, especially young people, when it come down to owning a home. They just don't have the funds because jobs really don't pay that much for them to get a house. And what I'm seeing a lot of houses are becoming more multi-generational houses where you got the kids, the parents, and the grandparents living in one house because it's just getting that expensive to live these days. And I hear a lot of people say, well, I just rent. Well, yeah, you can rent, but the cost is still going to be passed on to you, whether you're owning or renting. So if an owner of a property taxes go up and the insurance goes up like it's doing now, well, they're just going to pass it on to you in your rent. So it's not like you're escaping it. You just don't see it, but your rent is going to see it when they give you that increase. So let me know what you think it is. Do you think that it's fair that now the buyer have to pay his own real estate agent to go out and see properties? Or you think it should go back to the way it used to be? The buyer was comfortable with it. It came out of his proceeds when he sold the property. So it wasn't that big of a hit, because when I sold my property, I really didn't see it because they just took it off the top. I think I paid like, I think it was like 3-4% or something like that, and they took it off the top, and that was that. But now, like I said, now the buyer, that's another expense for him or her that they gotta muster up that money with all the other expenses just to get in a house. And like I say, to me personally, and I've owned many properties, I like equities better. And equities are stocks. Stocks, and I'm gonna do a video on that one. The reason why I like stocks better than owning real estate. And yeah. So that's all I have for you. This is Kay, back at it with a new video. Press like if you like my video. Don't forget to subscribe. Take care, guys.